All right, we are back. October 15th, we're doing a quarter 3 review for 2025. This last quarter was great. My wife and I, we like to do quarterly retreats. We get away for a weekend and we review what happened and set some plans for the future. And I'm going to walk you through 15 different, just random life stats, and then 10 takeaways that I can apply and that you can apply. I'm just trying to condense time and pain so you have more time and less pain. So diving in, stat number 1, 81% year over year quarter 3 revenue growth. I am very pleased with this number. In the last year, I've put a lot of effort into my business, and it's great to see it paying off. Number 2, 142% year over year quarter 3 profit growth. This is the number I care most about. My business is very connected to this beautiful face of mine, and I get something like 70% of my leads through my personal brand, whether that's Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, or email. And that could be inbound from content, or it can be outbound from my accounts. And that makes the business hard to sell. It's not that it's impossible, but the other thing is only 1% of businesses ever sell. So with that in mind, I just don't want to depend on selling my business. It's like if it ever happens, awesome. If it doesn't, then I'm going to make sure and take care of myself now and in the future and my family by optimizing for profit. Number 3, most new clients in a quarter. So in order, the numbers I care most about for business are number 1, profit. Number 2, the number of new clients. Number 3, the number of booked calls. In reverse order, that's how I increase profit is I increase the number of booked calls, which gives me more clients. And so, the fact that I had my best customer acquisition quarter is great. Number 4, I crossed the 100 plus client milestone, and I did that maybe in September. So I'm a little ways past that now, but pretty awesome that I've worked with over 100 business owners in a one-to-one setting, learning about their business, their points of view. I've learned a lot in that time. I've been able to work with some dream clients. It's been really cool. I'm grateful for the business that I run. I've worked with professional athletes. I've worked with some big time CEOs, including some that have been public CEOs, public company CEOs in the past, not present. And startups of all types, lots of small businesses. So pretty cool. Then 83 YouTube subscribers. Let's go. I'm sitting at 382 for 46 videos. That's like less than 10 subscribers per video. I know I can do a lot more on YouTube if I really wanted to pour the gasoline here. Frankly, it hasn't been my biggest priority, but I do get some great, I enjoy it a lot, first off. And then second, I think it's a great bottom of funnel tool where people who are really interested in what I have to say will go and watch some of these videos. By the way, I know I probably need to change my my profile picture. I look quite different now than I did then. Anyway, about 3,000 LinkedIn followers. I don't use engagement groups or ads, just plain organic content. And so that growth, about 1,000 followers per month, I feel really good about. And would I like to increase it? Absolutely. Will I? Hopefully. But right now, I'm pretty pleased with the growth. Email. So I got about 1,800 subscribers, which is just shy of, I guess it's about 600 per month. And you can see my growth just over the last year. It's gone from about maybe 1,000 to a little bit less than 8,000. And so I also feel pretty good about this, considering it's all organic. It's all just coming from content. And email has become a bigger asset where I'm getting some sales and calls through email, but I'm also able to sell digital products, which is really cool. The last quarter, I tracked how many hours per week I spent on my personal content. So not writing for others, but just for myself. And it ended up being 4.6 hours per week. I do have an assistant who is really a content growth operator, helps a lot with my content, so it would take a little bit longer. And that, by the way, is Twitter, LinkedIn, email, YouTube, and I think that's it. But yeah, I do wonder, like with my current growth, which is good, if I were to go and put 20 hours, 4x my hours here, I wonder what I could do. I don't know if I would 4x my growth, but I wouldn't be surprised if I doubled or tripled it, which would also reap massive dividends for the business. So very, very interested in that. This, by the way, is just a screenshot of my weekly content creation minutes. This is a fun one. I had my best 9 holes ever. You can see this right here, Matthew. We got 1 birdie, a lot of pars, bogey, a couple of bogeys, but I got a 39. It's pretty awesome. You can see I didn't quite win that round. These are my brother-in-laws, and one of them beat me, and that was the first time I beat the other one, so that was nice. Read 5 fiction and 5 nonfiction books. So I read 10 books this last quarter, and then you could see The Blade Itself, Before They Are Hearing the Last Argument, Sunrise on the Reaping, and Howling Dark. Those were the fiction ones. And then this was The Hunger Games. This was a series. And then this was book 2 of a different series that I'm kind of consuming a little bit slower. Then the nonfiction, Buy Back Your Time, The Obvious Choice, Just Keep Buying, The Wealth Ladder, and The Comfort Crisis. Good stuff. Okay, average daily steps, 8,300. Why that number? Because I learned that there are diminishing returns to your health past 7,500 steps. In other words, if you do 7,500 steps every day, you get 95% of the benefits of walking a lot. If you walk more, yeah, you burn some more calories. Maybe you enjoy it or you do some deep thinking, but you don't get that many additional benefits. So in case you're trying to up your steps, don't feel overwhelmed like you have to hit 10 or 12,000 every day. You can get most of the benefits with 7,500. Here's my weekly averages. I started Wildcard Wednesdays. My wife and I go out and try a new restaurant every week. This is fun, a great way to introduce a little bit of novelty into your life if you're interested. I'm up to 2,600 daily calories, and I have stable weight, stable body fat percentage, and I'm gradually increasing my strength and muscle mass. So this year, I've made my health a big priority. Last year, towards the end of the year, I got sick like 4 times in a row. And I think I was sick for like 4 months. It was terrible. It's very miserable. I hadn't been sick in a couple of years before that, but it just kept coming back and again. It was also the heaviest I'd ever been. And my body fat percentage was a lot higher. And so it's been really good to focus on this. I at one point got down to 7%. Now I'm sitting at 9% body fat, very sustainably. I've gone from about 2,000 daily calories up to 2,600, and I've just kept increasing it. And my maintenance level has also continued to increase as I've increased my muscle mass. And yeah, pretty fun. I'm going to the gym 3 or 4 times a week right now and continuing to get stronger. More volume. By the way, since I'm a total nerd, so I learned that there's 4 different ways to increase your, to basically do hypertrophy, which is building muscle. So one is increasing the load, so just making it heavier. Another is increasing the reps. So those 2 together are volume. Another is time under tension. So if I were to do a bicep curl and I went slower, then the weight would be dragging on my bicep for a longer period of time. That's another variable. And then the last variable is called density, which is how long your rest breaks are in between sets. And so those are the 4 variables you can play with to get a better workout. Okay, nerdy Matthew. We'll keep moving on. So baby crossed a bunch of milestones. This is just fun life stuff. Can finally go down the stairs by himself, which makes me feel a little bit less of a nervous wreck. And then lastly, significant personal finance growth. So my wife and I had a child, and we decided 2025 would be a year of foundation building. So that has been working. And health, family, spirituality, personal finance, Net worth is up 242% this year. Do I track this? Absolutely. Every single Sunday, I sit down and I see where my net worth is. I see where my investments are, and I want that number to go up. And I have a goal that I'm shooting for. Why? A little bit of capital at a young age goes a very long way. Thanks to the eighth wonder of the world, which is compounding. All right, now let's get to the takeaways. So 10 takeaways. Number 1, business is a game of momentum. So it's a game of momentum in a lot of ways. One is, imagine if I was starting posting content today versus I've been doing it for a year and a half. And so I have a massive library of content. And if I write 7 posts next week, 3 of those might be repurposed. And so I can produce half as much new content as someone who's just starting out and get the same results, which is pretty awesome. If I send 100 DMs a week for an entire year, a lot of those people are going to remember me and they'll hit me back up when they're looking for the service that I offer. Or if I just send a follow-up message to people who I've messaged before and added value to, the likelihood that they buy from me goes up significantly. Also, I just have a lot more pattern recognition and I know what behaviors drive business better than other ones. And so I can spend my time on the right stuff. Cool. Number 2, growth has been highly correlated with prior 30, 60-day effort. So I went through this little period. I read this book and my takeaway from the book was that you should do what you want. You should do more of what you want and stop trying to force yourself to do things that you don't want to do. And I just embraced that at the beginning of the year, January, February, March. And I just watched my revenue just go boom, boom, boom. Just kept dropping every month and it was terrible. And then it got to the point where I just said, okay, this philosophy is not working for me. I think I need to do some hard stuff that I don't want to do and be disciplined. And I was. And then 30 days later, 60 days later, I started really seeing the results and had some of my biggest months that I ever had. June and July were my biggest months, and were the baseline of where the business sits is now higher. So maybe one day hard work will be less correlated with growth, but that is not the case right now. And it's probably not the case for most people. Number 3, while there are always plenty of losses, focusing on wins is the way. So this has been a major focus of mine this year. And as I've gotten my fitness really kind of on track, that's been a massive thing, is I've just focused on the wins, because there's always going to be mistakes along the way, goof ups. If you have a business goal, like, you're not a machine and you're not going to be perfect. And so while we all make mistakes, I used to focus so much on those and beat myself up. And I've really learned this year to focus on the wins. And the nice thing about wins is it's positive reinforcement so that you do more good stuff, versus if you punish yourself for losing, all you do is go away from the bad stuff, but you're still leading with fear versus like moving towards something that's good. And so I like to use positive reinforcement as much as possible for myself and for others. Number 4, the best first step to make changes is to track, get awareness of current behaviors. So this one's massive. When I started taking really good care of my fitness, I just tracked what I ate and my exercises and my sleep and my steps. And I just tracked that daily for a couple of weeks before trying to make any changes. Then I was like, okay, let's increase the protein. Let's set a calorie max, which, by the way, I did buy a program and followed what they said. But that has been one of the biggest learnings that I've had this year, and specifically this last quarter, is when I track stuff, I improve it. So why am I tracking how many hours and minutes I spend doing content each week? Exactly, because I want to improve it. So anyway, next. Well, I'll actually highlight this other point. So the second best step is to adjust your environment. And I think that's also very true. So this little office that I have set up, you can't see it, but I've got one of my favorite quotes up there. I've got a walking pad right here. and I've got my drinks with a little mini fridge right there. And I've just set this environment up so I enjoy being in my office where I get my work done. 5, sustainable solutions are the only solutions. You've probably seen the people who yo-yo with their diet or with starting a side hustle where they go hard and then they back off, or a New Year's resolution, they go to the gym for a month and then they stop. And I'm just not a big fan of doing things that I'm only going to do for a short period of time. I'd much rather figure out how to make it sustainable. So as I have gotten in shape, I literally don't feel like it's a sacrifice in any way. I'm probably one of the top 100 people in the world who eats like a volume of popcorn. I'm up there. Like I eat at least a bowl of popcorn with hot tamales, by the way. That's an interesting but amazing combo. Every day I have a Ninja Creamy ice cream, like protein ice cream. I'll throw Oreos in there. I'll throw chocolate chips in there. I will eat Chips Ahoy. I eat what I want to. I just have a protein minimum that I hit, 190 grams, and I have a calorie maximum that I don't go over, 2,600 calories. And it makes it super sustainable. And so as I go about business, I'm always thinking about how can I make this more sustainable. Number 6, email lists are amazing for selling digital products. So I am convinced that everyone should build an email list, and it's just makes you less reliant on social platforms. It's also amazing for selling digital products. As of today, I'm halfway through a digital product launch that I'm doing with my friend Daniel Bustamante, and we basically put it together in a week. We're just sending out 5 emails, plus a couple extra ones in the evenings. And I put the product together mostly today. I put it together in 2 different days, but it probably took me, I don't know how many hours. But I put it together in 2 days, and like right now it's sitting at 11.5K. I wouldn't be surprised if we ended 15 or 20, and it was just a really quick thing. And it's stuff that I already know, and I'm just documenting it, which is helpful for me anyway. It turns into social content, it turns into emails. I could create YouTube videos around it, and I get to sell it. So pretty freaking awesome. Not to mention that I'm getting booked calls, and some clients are coming through my email list now. All right, number 7, great work speaks volumes. So in the past few weeks, I've had quite a few past clients reach back out to me and say, hey, can you still help me? Would love to hop on a call. Hey, I know someone who is interested. Can I introduce you? That kind of thing. And that is awesome. Makes me feel really glad that I treated the people well, that I did good work. They trust me. I didn't burn any bridges. I don't believe I have any clients out of the 100 that I've served that have where we left with a bad taste in our mouths, or I think every relationship has ended well, for the clients that haven't stuck. And yeah, I'm just grateful for the effort I've spent in the client work, and makes me just want to double down on doing great work. 8, build a business you enjoy. So this goes back to the sustainable solutions are the only solutions, but just diving a little deeper on this. There was an email that Alex Hormozy wrote a few weeks back that I haven't been able to stop thinking about. And he said, this is unlike me, because he usually talks about numbers and thinking less emotionally. But he was like, the biggest risk to any business owner is that they quit. And if you're doing stuff that you hate, then figure out how to stop doing it so you don't quit, and you can reduce that risk. And if you have an employee who's awesome, who you're paying too much to, the number doesn't have to dictate what you do. You can keep them. Or if you have clients who are paying you extremely well, but you just can't stand working with them, then maybe it's time to let them go. Or if you don't want to be jumping on sales calls, and your business runs on sales calls, you got to figure out a different way, to a different conversion mechanism, or to hire somebody who can handle that for you. Basically, just building a business that you enjoy makes it way more sustainable, more fun. If you stay in business, it gets easier over time, back to point number 1. So this has been something I've thought about a lot. especially coming off of June and July where I pushed so hard. I was really stressed out and figuring out how do I catch a break? How do I engineer this business to serve my life instead of the other way around? Number 9, never stop lead gen. I could go on this one for a while. I have learned this lesson, unfortunately, more than once. And I see it all the time with clients. I've had some clients that pause services because they have too many leads. And then they come back months later and their pipeline is dry, and it takes months again to kickstart their pipeline and get things going. And there's just never a time when it's bad to have more leads. You can always restrict the flow if you want to. You could have a wait list. You could say you're only taking on one client a week or whatever it may be. It's just never bad to have more demand. You'll look at a company like Hormozy's, where he has tons of traffic, tons of volume, but he only does a few deals. That's a great place to be in. It's like you got unlimited number of people who want to work with you. And whenever you're ready to look at more people and take more people on, you can. But it's you have all the control. You have all the leverage. And so get your pipeline full and then keep it full. Keep doing the lead generating activities. Keep doing outreach. Keep posting content. And keep running ads. All right, lastly, no shortcuts. So I think this is just a good rule to live by. Like, there are no shortcuts, or even if there are shortcuts, they're not for me. And the long way is usually the short way. The only way out is through. It's a phrase my dad would always say. The only way out is through. You can't go around this. You can't go under it or over it. Sometimes you just got to go through it. So this one is one I've learned by every time I skip the hiring process where I talk to a lot of people and I'm pretty thorough with the vetting, and I just hire someone because it's convenient, it's failed. And so I've had to let a few people go because of this, and it's very painful. And so I'm trying to remind myself whenever I go to make a hire that just go through the process. It's going to suck a little bit more up front. I'm going to be really busy for a few days, but then I'm going to hire someone who's going to stay for a long time and make my life so much better. And so this is true with hiring. It's also true with lead generation. It's true with sales. It's true with fulfillment. There are no shortcuts. So that is everything I have for you. Hopefully you learned something. Peace.